Hello, everyone. I'm Randy Snow from the podcast This Week in the World of Football. Along with my son Adam this week, we are here to review the latest episode of Hard Knocks. That's episode 3, featuring our beloved Detroit Lions.
And some people might say this is probably the best episode so far of this season's Hard Knocks, and I'd be one of them. I think this was the best episode of the 3.
Really?
Yes.
I thought it was just average.
You thought it was just average? Oh,
Yeah.
I got so hyped up during this episode, more so than the other two.
Well, anytime that Dan Campbell is on the screen trying to motivate his players, yes,
Trying.
I want to go run through a brick wall.
I don't know what trying you're talking about. He is succeeding in motivating these guys.
He's good at that.
No, so okay, look, I'll be quick, and then I want to hear your thoughts on why you don't think this. I thought it for a while I was like, this is just as good as episode 1, and I think there did come a point once we got a couple more player stories, which is what I enjoy about it. I was like, okay, cool, we got a couple more player storylines to kind of get invested in, and then there was just a moment during the Lions-Colts game that you hear the Hard Knocks music.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I know the results of the game, obviously, but just hearing that music just elevated everything for me. I got chills. I was like, this is what NFL Films does,
Yeah.
and it's incredible. And I already, you knew the outcome coming, but that music on top of the game and some of the, I won't say so much the drama, but the player battles you're seeing in this game, like David Blau struggling, will he do better this week? And some of these younger guys trying to make the roster, it just elevated everything. And what Hard Knocks and what NFL Films does is they make this beautiful marriage of football drama, they add the music, and it's a cinematic experience I love.
Yeah, they do a great job of getting the great video with the right music to go along with it, and it really you can't have one without the other. You got to have them both, and they do a great job of blending those together. They've always done that back into the days of Sam Spence doing the music and the original NFL Films guys that were putting all this together. John Facenda doing the narration. It's really good. But yeah, this was, to me, it was just average because I think the first week I didn't look at any clips, because there's a lot of clips that come out on social media of the show. And last week and this week I've been watching all the clips because, like you were saying, not all the clips that you see on social media are in the show. So if you don't watch them on social media, you don't get to see them. And so I was watching a lot of clips. So I'd seen a lot of things. So yeah, so it kind of ruins it a little bit, but I can't stay away from it.
Episode 3, what were some of your highlights, I guess?
Well, this was the week when they went down to Indianapolis and they spent 2 days practicing with the Colts. And that was some of the best footage. It was a lot more intense during these practices than I thought they would be. And their facility down there is awesome. They've got that really nice little blue path through the woods to go from the facility out to the practice fields. God, that was gorgeous. That was just gorgeous. And you said, man, I want to go down there and see that practice facility, dude. They had a ton of fans there, too, for these practices. That place was packed.
It would be really cool. What they call it the blue brick road instead of the yellow brick road.
Yeah,
Dan Campbell kept calling it the Field of Dreams. It was just so cool the way that was set up. So
you come out of the woods, and there you are at the practice facility.
It was pretty neat. Because you'd seen during the week some of the videos of the teams walking down that. I was like, I wonder what that's all about. And then you see kind of, we talked about, the Hard Knocks cinematography just made everything beautiful, and the way they got some of the shots of the dudes from the woods, watching them go down the path was really neat too. Yeah. So from a filmmaking aspect of it, I did love that part too.
Yeah, and like I said, the practices were a lot more intense than I thought they would be. But that's good.
That's what you want. I think when you get a joint practice and you got these two squads, they're both out to outplay the other squad. We're gonna out practice you. We're gonna out perform. And I'm sure there were some drills that were just, hey guys, we're just going to do a basic walk through, a couple of basic blocks, but these guys get fiery. We saw Jamal Williams getting into it with a couple of linebackers. We saw I forget the Lions rookie defensive back that's trying to make the team that they highlighted, him talking, you're going to get some of those guys, and I think that's good and healthy. But like Coach said, and I love that Dan Campbell came out and said, hey, look, we want you to be intense and we want you to beat their ass, but if any of you get into a fight and if any of you cause a brawl, you're essentially done. And I was like, that is the mentality that I like hearing.
Yeah, there's a fine line, that they're not supposed to cross.
And they got
be intense, but don't start a fight.
And I believe they got up to even Jamal a couple of times, hey, all right, we're gonna take a step back now. You proved your point or whatever, it's done, move on.
Well, it's one thing to beat up on your teammates in practice every week, and now you're going some places where you're actually going to beat up on somebody else.
Which is the point.
Yeah, And so I think they really took advantage of that. And
I think they did. I think both teams did because everybody said day one was pretty much the Colts' day. Both offense and defense just looked great, and the Lions didn't. Day two, it sounded like the Lions bounced back, and I think that's a good thing to hear because what do you do when you face adversity? How do you adjust and move on from that? And it looks like they did, and then they translated that into the preseason game, which we know they ended up winning. They highlighted, of course, the best stuff: the 18-play drive or 20-play drive. The defense getting that last stop at the end of the game to stop Indy from taking the 2-point conversion.
Well, we were out of town last weekend, and so we taped the game, and I just finished watching that last night on DVR, and there were a lot of great runs, kickoff returns and punt returns or whatever that didn't get into the show. But I was just really surprised at how well the Lions played in that game, start to finish.
Yeah, but, it's just the second, third stringers pretty much, but. It was great to see, and seeing like a guy like Malcolm Rodriguez again shining this week, and hearing the coach tell him you're only getting 15 to 20 plays, and Malcolm kind of not happy about it, but that's a good sign for him. It's like, look, we don't want you getting hurt. Let's take it easy. Mm-hmm. So I appreciated that, and I also like like I said earlier, they focus on a couple of players, which is what I like about Hard Knocks. They finally gotten around to Easy, who the offensive lineman trying to make the team, him and his wife. I thought that was a great story. Hearing his journey he's only played football for 7 years. Yeah. So, great little story there. Then they talked about running back Craig Reynolds a little bit. I'm hoping they go a little more into that because him talking to his brother who's in prison every week before a game, is pretty interesting. And I don't know if they'll dive into that anymore. Pimpleton, the rookie wide receiver from Central Michigan, finally getting to see a little bit of him. Yeah. Not a great game he had, but I'm liking. We'll see what he does next week. But he's a player that could be on the bubble. But that's what we like. That's the drama. That's what we're here for. So. Yeah,
Pimpleton started out slow. He dropped a few passes, but I think later in the game he got it together and he was playing pretty well. I thought it was funny during the first day of practice with the Colts. Deuce Staley lost his voice.
Oh, that was great.
From screaming so much, I guess.
He sounded like this. Trying to get his men all hyped
He's yelling and swearing at his guys for not doing this or that.
I don't have my voice.
He couldn't get more than a whisper.
I'm dead serious. I'm bleeping mad.
I don't know what he did that night to fix it, but he was fine the next day. He was back screaming.
But man, that was a good bit. Another great bit, and I think this will go down in Hard Knocks. Probably a top 10 moment for me at least for Hard Knocks. I mean, I haven't only watched the last 5 years, whatever. The comedian they brought in. Oh, yeah. Whose name I can't remember at the top.
It was Josh Adams. He was a comedian from Detroit.
Okay, comedian from Detroit. He came in. I don't know how long his real set was, but he nailed this little set from what we saw. It was great, getting a little fun of Dan Campbell.
He was roasting a lot of the players.
Roasting, Aiden Hutchinson. The Aiden Hutchinson stuff was great. Yep. Just kind of the whole overall, even making fun of the Hard Knocks opening, because it's them, putting the weights on the thing that they cut to making cars and stuff. So
they got you playing football and making cars.
It was good. It was a good little set. I almost wish I hadn't seen that bit going into the episode because they ruined the Aiden Hutchinson stuff, but everything else around that was still gold. I was laughing. It was great.
Yeah, he referred to Aiden Hutchinson as a Backstreet Boy or Justin Timberlake,
all that
because of his good looks and all. And then he was talking to what's his name, Anzalone.
Oh yeah, he called him Thor.
Called him Thor. Yeah, and I'm like looking at him going, God, he does look like Thor with the long blonde
and that's the first we've seen. Anzalone's their starting linebacker, but we haven't seen him at all during this. They definitely kept him out. I don't know if he's hurt or if they're just I don't know what his deal is, but it was cool hearing him make fun of Anzalone and a couple other things on the team.
Yeah, so. it was good, and I think it really broke up the monotony of camp and being on the road and whatnot. So that was a nice something I've never seen before in a Hard Knocks.
Yeah, and then of course Dan Campbell. We have to get to this. Dan Campbell was Dan Campbell.
Oh, yeah.
Pulling out the pants with the baby powder in it, shaking out the losing. Another great Dan Campbell bit. We might just have to make a list of the 10 best things Dan Campbell did.
I said this yesterday that Dan Campbell was made for Hard Knocks. I mean, he's got so many great sound bites and everything. But like in some of the past shows, some of these coaches, they sound like it's really forced. Like they're reading from a script or they're told what to say or whatever. You don't get that feeling with Dan Campbell. You think, if it's for the cameras, I don't know it because I think that's just how he is.
I think that is
this
how
is
he
really how he is.
I think that is how he is. It's really
it
interesting, and the way this team is being run, I'm very interested in the next episode already because we had the Lions not have coaches for a practice.
Yeah.
That's going to be something I can't wait for the next week's episode.
Yep.
And then whatever footage they get with the Steelers game this weekend,
Yep.
I'm all anxious about that. And then some more cuts. That's what we're building to, is
More
some of these
cuts
cuts. But I think overall this was great. What was another bit? The only other bit I can think of that I want to talk about is Pimpleton doing his juggling act.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
also a great moment because they bring the rookie up.
Yep.
You say your name, your signing bonus, and he wasn't going to say his signing bonus at first, but everybody kept hounding him, and he's finally $15K. Everybody started cheering. Then the moment he started juggling, everybody starts booing him because he's like, "I ain't singing." So,
And one guy yells, "We don't want to see that." They probably all know that he can juggle. But
right.
He wasn't going to sing anything.
But once
he
he started
juggled.
doing the under the leg and
Right.
behind the back, that's when
Yep.
everybody's like, "Okay, you're gonna get some cheer." It was.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fun moment.
He's pretty good. I mean, I've always wanted to juggle, and I can't.
You
And
still
I've
can.
tried.
You can do it.
I don't know, but I
We'll get you juggling
I
by next
respect
episode.
I respect anybody that can juggle because that's pretty cool. I love seeing that. But yeah, the only other thing that I was going to talk about was what you had already said. Craig Reynolds, the running back, talking to his brother. I had no idea that his brother. He said his brother's been in prison since he was in the 6th grade.
Something like that.
I think so. Most of his life.
Never seen him play football.
But they talk all the time, and they were like video chatting on an iPad, and so that's it's kind of cool that he's still close to his brother, even though he's been in prison for many years, and still supporting him, and maybe using that as motivation. And his brother did say I've made enough mistakes in my life for you, me, and 1,000 other people.
Yeah.
You go out there and do your thing. So that was kind of cool.
That was a good bit
to see
too.
their
And I think all that combined made for what I thought was the best episode of Hard Knocks yet.
That's it for this week.
That's episode 3. I liked it a lot. You just liked it some. So I'm looking forward to next week, though. I'm on that hype train. I'm not trying to buy into the Kool-Aid like a lot of fans. Like, we're going to the Super Bowl. I ain't gonna get that crazy. But man, does it get me a little more hope on what's happening inside that building.
Well, I guess that's it for this week. As with any video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification, leave us a comment. We'd appreciate it. And if you want to send us an email, we'll take an email, info@theworldoffootball.com. Did I miss anything?
Well, the website is www.theworldoffootball.com. That's been run by him for many, many years. And of course, if you found this video, we have more videos on the channel. We have our podcast, This Week in the World of Football, which you can find. Our episode yesterday we just put up talks about Deshaun Watson's 11-game suspension. We talk about our horrible trip to Toronto, which will also have a video up sometime this week. And then you did a great history lesson. It was more of a discussion, but of great NFL player nicknames.
Yep.
So
a lot more to come on that.
well, not even just NFL players, just pro football nicknames in
Right.
general. So be on the lookout for that as well. I got a lot of stuff to edit, so we need to wrap this up.
Okay. Well, we'll see you all next week when we review episode 4 of Hard Knocks.